What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Superfriends, episode 93. I am Luke, joined here with my co-host Tim.
How's it going, everyone?
Unfortunately, our regular co-host CJ couldn't be with us. He's having a little bit of technical difficulties. Hopefully we can get him back next week. But until then, we're going to rock you guys with a few pieces of news that have come out. Not too many. Again, DC is kind of in that thing where we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. They blew their load at Comic-Con, and now they're kind of taking a rest, I guess, until Justice League. But there's a few pieces here and there, and we've got a few viewer questions, so we'll have a good episode. But as for right now, Tim, how you doing? What's going on in your neck of the woods?
I'm doing all right, and I'm just kind of tired today. Had to work a shift I wasn't expecting to. I got contacted with at 1 in the morning about it from one of my coworkers asking me to cover.
It's always the bad one, huh? I mean, so that's a shame. As for me, nothing too bad. I've confirmed some things with a student job, so I'm gonna get that straight, hopefully in time for supposed to cut about half of my tuition for this next semester in half, so hopefully that can get through in time.
That's
sure
good.
It will. The GI Bill thing is also taking a long time and being a bitch, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about DC stuff. Again, like I said, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel, but there's a few little pieces here and there. First of which was kind of a no-brainer, but it was still nice to hear confirmed. So a few days ago, Forbes put out an article talking about Wonder Woman's financial success, basically, like her plans for future films and her overall domestic intake, which is pretty successful at the moment. It's close, I think, to getting 800 million worldwide, which that's pretty good. And especially for not a sequel or a big event film, it's the first sort of origin thing for this character. It's like Wonder Woman's first film debut. She's a known character, surely, but I think it's still kind of impressive. But the main thing in the article that people were looking at was that it makes mention that Gal Gadot is supposed to return for the Flashpoint film in... This is a no-brainer. Wonder Woman's kind of a big part of the Flashpoint storyline from the comics. She and Aquaman's war between each other is kind of a big little backdrop of the entire story, but still, it's interesting to note because the way that the character is presented right now, this kind of, in her own film, very lighthearted, innocent, and kind of getting to know herself as a hero within this world, and to think that in a few years' time we could be seeing her in a very evil light because Wonder Woman's a very dark character in that Flashpoint storyline. It's pretty interesting. Flashpoint in general is a cool concept for a film, and I'm kind of interested to see how they'll handle her for this movie. Tim, I know again it's not a big it's no-brainer, but what were your thoughts on this?
I mean, if they're gonna go full out with the Flashpoint storyline, they kind of have to bring everyone in, because that's kind of the point of Flashpoint, showing all the differences between what happened before and what's going on now. If they just did it like they did on the CW, there'd be no point to doing it.
Yeah. Thankfully, they can have all their characters, they can use all of their people. The thing is, again, audiences getting introduced to an evil version of these characters. I mean, not necessarily evil, but, not as heroic as she would be in the main canon. That would be interesting to note for a film of this nature. Do you think audiences would really react well to seeing characters like this kind of presented in this different light? Because not only would there be a dark Wonder Woman, there'd be a killer Aquaman character, Batman would be toting guns and pretty much acting
how different from the usual Batman.
Yeah, I said that, and I thought to myself, that's not even that different. But a Superman that is emaciated and kind of more alien than ever before in this world, and a Martha Wayne that's a villainous character. So, I mean, how do you think audiences would really react to something like that in a movie like this?
Well, now I just hope that if they do the Thomas Wayne Batman, we get a redo of the "why'd you say that name" thing when Barry mentions Martha to him.
They'll
it's always Martha with someone.
God, it is going to be that, isn't it? I didn't even think about that. They have to do that scene again. God damn it! I don't want to see that again. But I mean, it would be very interesting to see. Again, Flashpoint's such an interesting story, and it's weird seeing as how it'll be the first Flash movie that kind of goes into the next piece of news. In that Forbes article, it hinted that the Flashpoint movie is supposed to be coming at us in 2020. There's been no official word, I think, from Warner Brothers yet, but a lot of other sites and news trades have been reporting that it'll be coming out in that year as well. It seems like a good place. The Flash movie was originally supposed to be coming out in 2018, but there was a bunch of production troubles. Directors kept leaving. They couldn't seem to stay on the project due to creative differences. And ultimately, the project, I think, just had to be shelved so that they could get it right. So, as a movie, I guess, in 2020, it would be a big sort of event tentpole thing. And I guess it could fill the role of a Justice League 2, just kind of focus more on the Flash. What do you think about this? They're like reshuffling their movies left and right. I guess I'll ask this. Do you think that this is going to be coming in 2020? Or do you think that this is more so just, we're going to wait and see? This is just what we have predicted.
They're probably going to want to lock into 2020 on this one. Just because it seems like the reason why they would do Flashpoint is because they want to, like, soft reboot. Like, keep the stuff that worked, but get rid of the stuff that didn't work in it.
Yeah, that's the big thing that everyone's thinking about right now, is that Flashpoint's going to be sort of the retcon that, DC in general is just, like, famous for, but I guess
it is a good representation of DC as a whole on screen.
Exactly. So, if anything else, this will be like a de facto sort of crisis event. I don't know.
But if they do it in 2020, it makes the most sense because Marvel will be done with their big Infinity War thing with a lot of their contracts ending, so it's probably going to be like the best time for DC to pick up more steam with that.
Right. And it's like you said, like Marvel's going to be kind of done with that. They're going to be going back into, I guess, phase 4 and just going through like new characters and additions, and DC can actually come in and finally have a big tentpole film without having to deal with some sort of competition from Marvel, because that was the whole thing with BVS and Civil War. They weren't in the same months, but granted, there were still comparisons made between the two, and this would just, I guess, give DC a little bit more breathing room.
Yeah.
Flashpoint in general, it's good stuff. So I'm hoping they do a lot of great stuff with it, because this is probably going to be like the first time they do like a sort of multiverse time travel kind of thing with a superhero character, like in a cinematic universe. I actually don't know if they've done that before, but it would be interesting to see just how audiences react to an Elseworld kind of tale. And if this gels with any stuff with the whole Red Sun thing, obviously Mark Miller, I think, came out and said that they weren't planning on doing it. It was just talks. But, if this were to do well, they might be able to do future Elseworld kind of stories. Do you think that DC would be up for that if Flashpoint were considered a success? They might look to do more kind of out there, just alternate reality kind of stuff, seeing as how the audience would more react well to Flashpoint.
Yeah, maybe, but honestly, I feel that Flashpoint was chosen for one reason and one reason only, and it's just housekeeping.
That's fair. I feel like that's probably a fair way to look at it. Well,
they're not going to get rid of everything. It's not going to be like a reboot. Like I said, it's going to be a soft reboot. They're going to, if the stuff that, people, universally like, that'll have happened, but the other stuff, it didn't happen the way that you think it happened.
Yeah, and I guess I'm also just thinking about it now. If there's no Flash movie before this, I wonder if they'll even have Reverse Flash as a villain, in this.
They might build up to it at this point if they're gonna make it a big thing in 2020, where they'll have Reverse Flash show up in something before then.
In Justice League Dark, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I don't even know
in Justice League Dark, him and the Flash will fight each other.
Yes, so you'll at least see Reverse Flash as the 4th film in the year that Justice League Dark is in.
Yeah, I just wish that with Flashpoint they had established some stuff about this universe's Flash in his own film before they did Flashpoint.
That's the big thing. It would have been nice to kind of see a little bit more of his world before you just jump into this big alternate universe epic. Yeah. If you want a different side of the equation, you could go check out Yusuf's video on why Flashpoint works. I'll just drop that little nod to one of our buddies out there. But it is kind of disappointing because I would have liked to see a little bit more of the Flash's aesthetic within this universe and how he kind of differs, instead of throwing him into a little bit of a darker setting and something that usually I would see as a little bit of end of his career sort of thing. But
right. And this is all just assuming that Flashpoint is going to be what we think it is and actually be Flashpoint and not just be a movie called Flashpoint.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's all the reason in the world to believe that they could just make something completely separate, just the same theme, I guess, kind of in place.
They might just want to use the title because it's popular.
That's very true. Flashpoint, even if you're not like a big comic reader, I feel like a lot of people know what Flashpoint is at this point in time, thanks to YouTube and just general word of mouth.
And they had the popular animated movie. It was on the TV show.
That's true. Go the Flashpoint Paradox. You can go watch that, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, there's not really a whole lot else to say on Flashpoint. Hopefully it'll be good, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see until 2020. But anyway, that's actually going to conclude this episode. We don't have much else, but still a fun discussion. I was here with Tim. Tim, where can people find you on social media?
They can find me on Twitter at Aussie Dragoon.
And you guys can all find me and fuck that up. You can all find me on Twitter at Baron_Zemo1. This has been Super Friends episode 93. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more to talk about next week, but until then, we'll see you next time.
Later.